Welcome to That's What She Said, presented by CMU Health, where we spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to That's What She Said. Thank you so much for tuning in today to obviously it's our most recent episode, but I want to say thank you for tuning in to the episodes of the past, and then all of you who go back into our archives on YouTube, Spotify, Audible, all those wonderful places where you can tune into the past episodes of That's What She Said with me, Christiana Malacara. Some of my favorite ways to tune in is on the airwaves. There's just something about just turning on the radio and just having that that conversation and listening. WSGW 100.5 and or Sunday evenings at 6 p.m., which is a wonderful way to reset yourself as you move into the next weekend, because here on That's What She Said, we talk about women empowerment and all the many ways that women empower each other, their family members, their coworkers, and it's really great to receive feedback. I get emails, I get Facebook messages, and people stopping me, which is really fun. I'll attend a spirits game here in Saginaw, and all of a sudden, hey, you're That's What She Said, girl. And it's really cool to know that the listeners out there are enjoying themselves. So with that part being said, if you are watching and you see our beautiful faces, you are most likely tuning in on Thursdays at 1:30 on social media. If you're on social media and you happen to be on Facebook, I'd like you to leave a review. If it's in the comments or an actual review, let us know. How are we doing? What would you like to see? What would you like to hear? Is there someone who's inspiring you and uplifting others in the community that you're like, hey, that girl needs to be highlighted? I need their email or number or whatever. I really want to know your feedback as we keep chugging along into this season of That's What She Said, which is season 3. Absolutely wild to even say that. I couldn't do it without producer Jonathan Dent. And on that note, I want to talk about connection. So we're just going to take a few moments here as I kind of stand on my soapbox, right? As you know, who have followed me, I've been writing things down and journaling. It's been an amazing part of me ending my day. Not every day, not all the time. Sometimes multiple times a day, I'll write and jot a few things down. But the word connection came to me. And, as my role as a community member of the Great Lakes Bay region, I take it very seriously that I need to and want to and have this desire to connect with people in all areas. And it's an opportunity for me to kind of help them grow, but also help myself grow. And which is the best way to do that, right? So I'm writing things down and kind of brainstorming with myself. I'm having an internal meeting, right? What are we doing good? What needs to be improved, and what do we need to scratch? And when I came across this word of intention, so creating connection intentionally, but then fostering those relationships. And that's really when we start seeing growth, is when we foster relationships moving forward. So moving from connection with intention turns into a relationship. And then here we are as growing people of the community. And you can take community however you want. You can talk about the community of your church, the community of your work environment, the community that you create with, all of your friends. If it's your girlfriends going out for drinks, or, we have plenty of guy listeners, if it's your guy friends going out fishing, right? Just being intentional about connection will create growth with them, with you, with everybody around you. And hopefully that's what we're all striving for. So as we move from this That's What She Said day to the next, let's try and create intention, create connection, and growth. So I have someone that I connected with, and I don't even know how, honestly. We met and I was like, this girl's amazing. She has great hair. So I hope you're tuning in on the camera. She has great hair and I need her to be my best friend. So I just did that. And we have our guest today, who's Erica Piña. Hi, Erica.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on today.
I'm excited to be here. We've been talking about this for a while, and we are connectors, and then we're always like, when are we going to connect? So here we are, kicking off the new year.
Yes. Yeah. So, being a connector, it's a big job, and we'll dive into that. But For listeners in the community who might not know you, how would the community know you?
I am born and raised, quick background, born and raised in Midland. I left for college at Bowling Green, lived in DC and then Chicago. I've been back for over 10 years. And in DC and Chicago, I had my own event company, political fundraising. And when I moved back, I worked at Dow temporarily, but I resurrected my event planning and fundraising. That's my passion. That's what my skills are, and my heart went back to. So live local events. That's been around, gosh, I've been planning events forever, but here in Michigan since about 2014, 15. And also when I moved back from Chicago, I was like, okay, I'm back in my hometown as an adult. I started Live Local Mid-Michigan for everyone to go on there and everyone local to share their awesome events and awesome restaurant specials, anything that's like non-chain. My heart is for the small business and finding those unique events in Midland. Coming back, I was like, wow, there's a lot in this whole area that I didn't know existed. And coming back in as an adult, like if you tap into it, you cannot call this area boring or nothing to do, because go to Live Local Mid-Michigan, you'll find events every night.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. There's always something to do. You have to be, there we go, intentional about looking for it, right? Create opportunities for yourself and your family. There's so much around here. So this might sound bad, but how did we meet? Like, where were we?
So a good friend of mine, her daughter, Carly Jo, I was helping, she was just getting into financial planning, and I started connecting with her because, I was like, you got to get out there. We started going to ABC women events, and I was just like, hey, Carly, come to this chamber event. And then I saw, as soon as she did a podcast with you, that's the first time I saw it, maybe last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, you go, girl. I love this. I love listening to it. And then I see, she's blasted off and doing all these networking things. But
she is.
That's how I saw who you were. And then I started following you and just like liking everything and opening those doors. And then we finally saw each other at an event. And it was like, oh my God, I feel like we're family. Like, just we know a lot of the same people.
That's true, because, when you're online friends, right, we interact with each other. I call it making deposits, right? So we're making deposits in each other. And then when we see each other in person, we already feel like we know you. Like I got you, girl. Like I know things about you and you know things about me, but do we really know each other? And that's what we're going to explore today.
Yeah.
So, I thank you again for being here. You're so busy. So I'm glad that I got you.
You're one to talk. Every time I think, I love it though. Your guest bartending thing, that I love what you do.
That was a lot of fun. Guest bartending.
Yeah.
That was my first time behind a counter. I was nervous. But let's talk about you and how you said you left and then you came back.
Yeah.
Okay. So you left for school.
I was going to Delta, and I met my advisor, Monica, and my speech teacher, Chris, and I started talking about my next path. It was going to be CMU, and my aunt worked in Bowling Green, and she said, Erica, I could help you waive the out-of-state fee if you want to look at Bowling Green. It's just like CMU. So I was going to follow a lot of high school people, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I ended up getting a full ride there. And actually the dean of CMU over education goes, hey, if they're going to give you everything, CMU can't match that. If I were you, I'd go down there. And I came in third year because I only had 2 years there after Delta Associates. Lived in a dorm on a scholarship. So I first found out a place. I remember my parents left me. I didn't have a car, and just calling them like, I don't want to stay here. Like everybody was freshmen. And, but then I got over it. I'm like, I have friends from all ages now, but when you're first going somewhere, it's a little scary, but yeah, I really like going to Bowling Green, and then, ended up going from there to DC, working with Dave Camp. And then I branched out in the Association of Corporate Counsel, planning, law conferences for about 3,000 lawyers, from all over, global conferences for youth in Eastern Europe. I lived there for a little while.
Wow.
And then Chicago, I was going through a life change and a divorce, went there, took a year off, did Eat, Pray, Love, went to everything I could. And then I worked for Groupon. So I did a little bit of the corporate business sales on selling Groupon ads and, all the promotion before I landed. And I had my son there, and things changed. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, I just came back on a weekend and bought a house, still worked for Groupon, and then it ended up fizzling out because I moved. And took like another year to kind of readjust and get back, worked at Dow, and then the Humane Society found me and wanted me to do their gala just from LinkedIn. And I said, yeah, that's my passion. I love to raise money and love to plan events and big ones. So yeah, that's how I've been back.
That sounds like a lot of shifts, a lot of like, okay, let's pivot. Okay, let's pivot again. Or, we have this opportunity. Why not? That's kind of what it felt like. When you're explaining this, this span of time.
Yeah.
But back at Bowling Green, you're there, you're on campus without a car.
Right.
New environment. You took this giant leap of faith. The school believed in you. Your parents obviously believed in you.
Yeah.
But you said you called your parents and was like, come get me. What and why did you do that?
I think it's because a lot of my friends they went to school in Michigan. So when I'd visit them at Delta or even that fall, I knew they were all gathering and doing all the fun stuff. And I wasn't part of it because even at Delta, I'd drive to CMU. I'd drive everywhere. And I was still in that niche of high school group. So watching all the people in Ohio come together that first, and I'm sitting in my dorm room, I always paid extra to live by myself because I was like, I'm a third-year student. I don't want a roommate in these little areas. I think it was just like that never left Midland feeling, and I just decided to go there. I decided to go there without even visiting the campus. So it was just that shock of like, here, take my car. I didn't, I was living on campus and then just being like, wow, I'm trapped. But
was there regret?
It took me a few days, and my parents just said, give it a few days. It was before cell phones were really big, so I had to dial them up. I mean, they were there, but you weren't chatting all the time.
Yep.
But it made me stronger. It made me be able to walk into any room. Like I walked into the Latino club and then I plugged in, I just started going to clubs, and that was a big club where we just gathered and we did all these events and just made myself go, why do I care if I walk and I don't know anyone? And I'm glad I learned that skill. I didn't stay in that high school niche. I made myself do it. I actually want my kids to go to college out of state.
Yeah.
It's an experience that I think will set you up for being able to walk in anywhere and not put your head down. Like just kind of go up to someone. They're scared too. Say hi.
Do you think that's a good trait for women to have?
Yeah, I think, I feel better when I go to an event and I know 4 or 5 friends are there and I'm already in my comfort zone. So I love to go to new events that are in different places that I know I'm not going to know anyone, to reassess. Like, I don't need 4 people waiting for me. It's just a skill that will get built in, but definitely look someone in the eye, shake their hand, make a conversation. We don't need to scale back,
Women scaling back. Going into a room and not knowing anyone, that is really uncomfortable.
Right.
Personally, and I'll just put it out there. Like I was telling someone the other day, like, I want to go try this place for lunch. And they're like, well, just go. And I'm like, I don't have anybody to go with. I'm not going to go have lunch by myself. And it was one of those things where it's like, but why not? Like, I want to go experience this thing.
Right.
Why can't I do it by myself? And it feels almost uncomfortable. So what is something that you did that helped you overcome that uncomfortable stage and was like, yeah, of course I deserve to be in this room, or of course I want to go here and have this new experience, whatever it might be, at a young age?
I think I was told, I can't remember by what mentor, but a lot of the times when you walk in a room and it's uncomfortable, most of the people have the same feeling. So to be the icebreaker and just be like, man, can you believe those roads? I can't believe I made it. Or, I always learn to ask open-ended questions. And if you can get someone talking, keep them talking. And if you find someone who's not comfortable talking and you get the yes, no answers, I'm just like, move on. It doesn't mean they don't like you. You're not going to get that conversation going. And there always is someone, and usually a few cute questions, which is your whole job, will get someone to open up. And then I always learn when they walk away, they remind you fondly because they just talked about themselves. And who doesn't love to talk about themselves? That's like, you get someone to talk about themselves and they're like, oh, they're really nice. Well, they just got to learn about you. And that's a good thing. That's how you learn to connect. Oh, you know that person? Well, how did you, you start connecting and, that's what you remember when you walk away. Sometimes I don't remember your name, but I remember you have a son in hockey. Or when I was younger, we had the same class and we maybe have been to the same concert. I don't know, just those questions.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I guess that's kind of how I started out our show, right? Was creating connection, but with intention of like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do in this room, in this conversation, in this relationship, whatever it might be. I remember walking away from you and like I already said, I was like, ooh, that girl got good hair. So we're going to, just because we're already here, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to go this route, Jonathan. Sorry. So you have amazing hair and you always look so gorgeous. And we're talking about, that's what she said. What is it? What are you doing? How are we doing self-care to our hair?
Well, I am half Latina. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that helps. I mean, my dad has natural curly hair, and my mom does too. Actually, it's easier for me just to wash it and not touch it. Just put in a few conditioning products for curls. I do like it straight once in a while, and people are always like, "Oh, what'd you do?" It's only when I get my hair done a few times a year, and then I have them do all the work, and then I dry shampoo it.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot that I feel like the back's never fully straight.
Those on camera, I attempted to straight mine today. Did not work out.
It looks fine.
Thank you.
But pretty much just let it be wild. Just let it be natural.
So you're embracing it.
Yeah.
You're embracing it. So, okay. So you're in college and you said you navigated your career to DC.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big shift. Did you plan that or did
No.
it just happen? It just happened.
No.
Tell me about that.
Well, in college, I just remember I would say, I can't wait till I graduate. I just get this amazing job and paid so well, and not knowing how I'd get there, just assuming once I hit that carpet and I graduated, I was just lined up. And unfortunately, around that time, I don't want to mention the year, but it was early 2000s. Michigan was not a great place to live for jobs. And I ended up doing part-time at the Juvenile Correction Center. I enjoyed working with the youth, but I wasn't able to counsel and mentor them. It was more like sit down, eat your food, go back to your, like it wasn't, my degree was kind of wanting to work with those students, but I wasn't able to do what I wanted. And then I found a job through Indeed to work in DC. I also was an intern for my congressman. So I did that. And then I was like, why not DC? So I ended up getting that job. It was a national leadership job for working with young students for a while. And then there I just started meeting people and I got into event planning and worked for corporate lawyers and, got to plan their board meetings and stay at the Ritz-Carlton, and it was like no budget and it was awesome. I used to go everywhere. I started going to Europe with them. But then I got so much information of meeting people. Some of the lawyers started hiring me to plan their events in California and all over through the Minority Corporate Council, the Asian Corporate Council. And so I just went on my own. After being 5 years there, I started my own company and worked all over.
How old were you when you started your own company?
Let's see, that would have been, I went 24, 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you, here we go again. Did you plan that? Like, did you go to DC and like, you know what, one day I'm going to start my own company because I'm really freaking good at this?
No, my old boss before she left corporate counsel was mentoring me, and she had her own company and she was shaping me on how to do it. And then I got a new boss who found out I was still friends with my old boss, and obviously she did not like that. So she pulled me off a lot of my European jobs, started and giving it to a girl just out of college, just because she couldn't stand that I was still in touch with my old boss. And every time I took time off to help my other boss with jobs, she kind of got upset. So what I tell women too is my big stepping stone, I hate to say this because there's all type of women, but I went on my own because I didn't want a horrible, mean, micromanaging woman boss. She was horrible to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on my own. And to tell her I was going on my own and I was moving to Europe for a contract, it was just a feeling to be like, I'm doing this. And it was scary. There was just like, you're going to leave a job. That's, but, and it doesn't have to be just a woman, but a bad boss in a bad situation will make you start your own company or do your own thing. Where I was like, I will work with people, but I will not answer to someone. It's too bad because she was up there, and there's, to me, two women, they get up there, they want to be like, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, figure it out, and micromanage you and belittle you. Or there's women that I want to be, hey, here's how I went, come with me, grab arms, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, meet this person. you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I've experienced.
You're going to encounter both, right?
Both.
If it's, you know, at a work environment and your personal relationships, friends, you know, you're going to encounter both. And I think it's interesting that you learned what you needed to do through the person that wasn't helping you.
Yep.
You learned what you needed to do.
Yeah.
From someone who was just like, go figure it out. I don't, you know, I'm not going to guide you. I'm not going to be your mentor. That's what taught you the biggest lesson. And I mean,
I should be thanking that person.
You should be thanking. Yeah. You know what? Send her a business card right now.
She might see it. I didn't mention any names. No, it was just kind of like, I'm going to go do it myself.
Yeah.
Very scary, big city. I mean, my parents were even worried about me going there. Like, what are you doing?
I think that's really, really cool to hear that you went to college on a leap of faith and were like, Mom, Dad, come get me, please. And now here we are, you know, just, you know, a few years in between, and you're like, peace out. I'm moving. I'm taking a bet on myself and I'm out of here. And then they were the ones that were like, are you sure? You okay? Like, that is so much personal growth in an amount of time based off of leadership that maybe wasn't coming from a true leader. But we are going to we're going to take a quick break. Doesn't it fly by?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it flies by. There's so much more to say. So we're going to take a quick break. We have Erica Piña with us, and from Live Local Events, and she shared how to be the icebreaker, how to take a leap of faith, and then when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into her morals, her favorite things, her hobbies, what keeps her going, and her family. So stay tuned to That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara, and we'll see you right after this break.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
Hi, and you are back to the second half of That's What She Said. Thank you. Thank you for not going too far. Thank you for flipping your dial and then flipping it back. And thank you for tuning in. There are many ways to tune into That's What She Said. The radio waves, 100.5 and 790 WSGW over the weekend, and 24/7 podcast format, wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm there. Social media, Instagram. I'm working on TikTok. Yeah, throw your suggestions my way. My age is showing there. So right now we're having a conversation with Erica Piña, and she's a shining star, an entrepreneur, and she has Live Local Events. And we were talking in the last section about being the icebreaker and walking into rooms and not having the fear, right? We're walking into rooms, conversations with people that we don't know, and we're sometimes on our own. So, Erica, thank you again for being here. I appreciate you.
Glad to be here.
When was a time of your life where you had to navigate through something on your own? And what was the biggest tool you had to move out through that successfully?
I think from always being a go-getter, always involved with clubs, always stepping up to be a president or run things for organizations, because I'm always like, I can do it, let's do it, and I like to do. Having all that, and then just becoming a mom. I remember I had a counselor in Chicago because I knew I was worried about getting depressed and my life changing, just because I heard about that. So I went and got a counselor, and I kept going, well, as soon as I have my son, I might go visit my friend in Thailand, and I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to quit Groupon, and I want to take on this. And she's like, well, why? She's like, you haven't had your child yet. You'll be lucky just to get a shower. And I was just like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm going to be super mom. I'm going to prove it. She's like, who are you proving it to? No one else had told me that. I didn't have them. I don't know. Like, she just was like, who are you proving it to? So I actually sat back, and once I did have my son, I was like, yeah, I had a C-section. I couldn't go downstairs for 8 weeks. And I'm such a doer. It was hard, but I had to have him to see, I don't need to prove it to anyone. I will figure it out. And then the transition of having him, working at Groupon, moving back, not a plan, just buy a house, and knowing in my head, I was like, it's Midland. I'm not going to be an event planner. It's Dow or nothing. So I get in a Dow and I'm just sitting there like, wow, I did all this stuff and now I'm a mom at Dow. Like, this isn't satisfying me, but I didn't know what was next until, Humane Society found me through LinkedIn. And I was like, I'll take a gamble. They never hired anyone before that to do events and marketing.
Let's take a quick step back though.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have moms listening who are pregnant or just had their baby. And I, like you, I had a C-section. It knocks you out.
Right.
It knocks you out.
You have no choice.
Exactly. You are sitting there and you have to depend on other people.
Yes.
Which is scary as self-proclaimed go-getter, right? Which is
like to do
100% true. You do, right? You're taking the words and bringing them into action. That's what makes you an amazing planner. We can only plan so much for our kids, right? Like that time period, that like weird first 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. We're just like, keep the baby happy.
It's hard for a doer. I mean, it's hard for everyone, but
yeah,
it's uncomfortable.
So what was one of the most challenging points of being a new mom, and what would you advise to the moms who are listening?
I think it was just the slowdown. I was looking internally and judging my own self, going, what are you doing? You're on the couch with, you barely, it was just hard not to move. And I almost forgot everything I've accomplished. It was almost like, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm just a mom in Midland and I'm getting a contracting job at Dow. Like I did all this stuff. And now it was just hard for me to grasp. Like I was happy to be a mom and everything changed in a good way. It was getting over the curve of like, let me be patient and let me be the one to feed my son and be with him. And I did have a good year before I went to Dow. And, it was still hard. And I only did it for a year because when I worked for the Humane Society, I was able to work from home and bring nannies and family in to help me. But I think the thing is just give yourself grace. Let those days where you barely get a shower, like let a little trip to Target and maybe a little tumbler with wine, like let that be your fun thing for the day and take it day by day because it goes by fast and then you're back to busy. And I'm always redirecting myself like, okay, do I need to do this? Do I need another night away from my family? No, go back to the roots because at the end, all the connections, that's all we have. It's all we can bring with us one day. We can't bring anything else. And nobody at our funeral is going to care. They don't want to hear all our credentials. Although I have a lot of amazing aunts who started stuff at deans of MSU and they said it all, but I remember the days of hanging out with them. I'm glad they started scholarships for minorities at Michigan State, but those are the things aren't going to matter at the end. So just redirecting myself and giving yourself grace as a mom. Sorry, I'm going off, but
you're great.
Everything's there. It'll be waiting for you. Work's waiting for you. Money's waiting for you. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Don't, give yourself grace.
That's a great piece of advice. You're right. And I had this visualization of, at your funeral, nobody's reading off your resume, right? Is it really that important? What is it that, redirecting yourself? What is it that I'm living for?
Right.
From, day to day? Where is those happy, joyful moments? Yeah. A tumbler of wine. Guilty. Love it. Love it. When you said, I turned to, I'm from this person who's a busy go-getter to now you said I'm just a mom in Midland, and you forgot all those amazing things you've done in the past. What and who helped remind you of how amazing you are?
I was very different. I was during the time going through a horrible divorce, and it changed who I was just because I was walking on eggshells, and I had friends from the Corps from back in the day literally show up, open my blinds and say, grab the babies. We're going to go garage sailing. We're going to do this. And I was like, what, and it was just friends who came out and were like, this isn't you. You thrive off people. Even if you're dead tired, having someone over, that's how you operate. And you haven't been able to do that for a while. So I also had a transition of changing jobs, an ex that it wasn't going well. And, kind of like, well, what are you going to do now? And just like defeating that voice and then trying to get back. So friends, definitely just kind of like taking a step back and going, you know what? I have done a lot and I will do more. And my story's not done. And I'm bringing the kids with me. They're going to learn. They're going to come with me. I'm going to build them up. They're going to travel. and they're going to be better than me one day.
That takes women empowerment. Someone recognized in you that something wasn't right. And
Right.
I'll just say something was wrong. It just was, this is not Erica.
Right. I wasn't for a few years.
Did you see that in you at that time?
I knew I was totally different. I knew I was trying to live to please someone who didn't like me around a lot of people. Yeah, I knew it, but also I was a mom, and I was just like, I'm a mom now. Like I can't have this huge career. I can't do certain things. So it was just a lot of different voices that they were not. I always heard it's not God's voice. You don't want to have these other voices are just, they're lies.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe those lies. Like align with what you were created to do. So it was just building the confidence. I had it there. It was an ember left, and like I needed it stoked.
Yeah.
And it was still there. I came back, I rose from the ashes, and I just have been taking opportunities that are there and not forcing the ones that don't need to be forced. Don't force a closed door, because you know, right then and there, it's a bad decision.
It's a bad decision. That's amazing. That's amazing that you put it in that context. So when those voices come up, I usually call them distractions.
Right.
Because like, you know your goal, you know which direction you're going to, you know yourself best, right? When I usually put a woman behind the mic, I'm like, we're just talking about you, and you know you best, right? I can ask all these other people about you, but you know you best at the end of the day. It's pretty great that you had this act of women supporting you, and they recognize that in you. That takes a lot of courage on their end, but a lot of courage on your end receiving it, right?
Yeah.
Us as women have a difficult time, and I'm sure men do too, is one, receiving a compliment. I'm horrible at receiving compliments, but then also receiving advice, right? Because we think we know us best. So we think that we can achieve something easier if we're listening to ourselves.
Yep.
That's when mentors come into play. And I know in our first half, you were talking about, you've had a few women in your life who are mentors. What are some of those key things that they told you that pushed you either along your career or personal growth? What is some advice that they might have given you that you could pass along?
Yeah, I remember moving to DC, and I was really worried about if I was making a great decision, because I was really close with my family. And one of my mentors that I met in the workforce was like, I get it, you're young, but she goes, you're not, like, I had that feeling like, am I trapped here? And when I like the first month, because I was really missing home, and she goes, nothing's final. Like, if you really miss your family, give up your deposit. Like, you can head back on a plane ticket tomorrow. Like, and so I met a young girl who moved in with me, and she was, it was funny because she was from Indiana, and she's like, I don't know if I should stay, and I helped get her a job. And I was like, listen, Amy, if you hate it, give me your deposit. Like, you can leave. What are you going to lose? $1,000? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to lose? A little money is compared to nothing when you just want to go home. And I knew one day I left. I didn't hate Michigan. I couldn't find an opportunity here. I wanted to carve out my own path. And I always knew I would bridge myself. That's why I love Mackinac Bridge. I always knew I was coming back on I always have a bridge to Michigan. I met a lot of DC people, and I said, my heart's there. I'm not forgetting about Michigan. One day I want to move back and help economy. I want to help in office one day. I want Michigan to thrive. And I didn't forget Michigan. I knew I'd always end up coming back. So.
And you did it.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that decision?
It took a little time. At first I was like, what am I doing? I'm here with kids. And, I just left Chicago with all the amazing ethnic food and all the street festivals. But that's why I started Live Local. I started seeing events, and I go, I don't know how to put these all on my calendar. I'm just going to start Live Local Mid-Michigan to be like, live local, buy local, go to local things. So then when I relaunched my company a few years later, I was like, well, I'm not going to say, hey, everyone, this is my company now. I started Live Local Events, separate business page, and then there's a group.
Yeah.
But I captured everything there. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can walk to the Center for the Arts and see all these different amazing ethnic plays and
from all over.
Yes.
From all over.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, it was learning to be grateful with where you are. And then once you look at something with that eye, you're like, there's so much to be blessed in this community and visit where I went to school and go with friends home to Ohio. Not saying, but like their towns only had certain things, and with what Dow and our major companies here provide for us at our fingertips,
We're
you
fortunate.
don't find anywhere else.
We really are fortunate. And so then there's an observation that I've made is, just in our conversation, is you plan events,
Mhm.
but you've taken a lot of turns in your life that necessarily weren't planned. How is it to be, how is it for you to be okay with something that was not planned? Like, what can we unpack that? Like, you are a planner.
Right.
You want things to have structure,
Yes.
a timeline.
Yep.
You
Deadlines.
want follow up.
Yep.
Exactly.
Goals, money goals,
Exactly.
stressful goals.
But you've
Yeah.
taken a lot of chances on yourself that necessarily weren't planned. How is it to be, how can you be okay with that? Like, how can someone be okay with that?
So I've had major events where things in DC, there's things that didn't go right. Like a bus got ruined and it got off the highway at the inauguration, and I used to help plan inaugural balls, and one of them was for youth, and it was like Katie Couric called me and she was mad my daughter didn't make the inauguration, and we had to pivot, and I ended up getting her like a sit down with Al Gore because we were working politics. But what I learned from events, they are stressful, but I always knew A, B, C, D plans. Everything's figure outable. So I had an event for Madonna with PETA there, and somebody didn't like the certain dish, but like it's just like you have a headset on, you're in the back, and there's like Eminem and Moby and all these like vegetarians there, and it's like, I don't know, that pressure is so much, but I never crumbled. I go, everything's figure outable, and I keep a smile on my face, and we figure it out. And so
Figure outable.
Figure outable.
Okay.
Figure outable. Like there's always other solutions. And the thing is, if no one knows what plan A was, how do they not? I mean, how do they know it's plan B or C or D?
Yeah. What plan are we on?
And just be like, we're not going to give up. We got to figure this out. Let's figure it out. Pivot, move on. So I think in life, I've just learned it's going to happen with everything. And that's how we get up. That's how we get out of bed. I'm not going to lay in bed all day depressed because something didn't work out.
Yeah.
I will go there for a little bit and I got to feel the emotion. And then I'm like, all right, let it go.
You got to feel the emotion.
You got to feel it, but don't let it take you over, and don't let it make you stop. I don't think you should ignore it, because I used to ignore stuff, and now I'm like, nope, I'm going to feel upset for a minute.
You used to ignore stuff. Your emotions?
Well, like I would just put it off, like just push it back. Like, I'm not going to feel mad about this. I just learned to like
move on to plan B.
Give yourself grace.
C.
Say, yeah, you could be upset about that. That didn't work out how you wanted, but what are you going to do now?
So these pivots, they're figure outable.
Yeah.
I love this word now. I need to start a That's What She Said dictionary with you ladies, because this is wild. I learned so much. So what is one of the biggest things that you've had to figure outable?
At an event, or are you talking for work or in life?
In life.
Gosh, I mean, every day there's something. I mean, I figured out how to get to orthodontics for this for my son. Yeah. Anything, I think major stuff was, moving here as a mom and just buying a house. Groupon was going to expand to let me work in the Lansing area. And then I just bought a house and moved. Went to Chicago a few times. They're like, yeah, living social or live social is kind of help. They're after our cities. So we need you to move back. We're not expanding in Michigan. And I'm like, wow, that was my plan. So just taking a step back, and then I was a mom, and I became a single mom, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to contract at Dow in finances. Didn't love it, paid the bills, and then
you figured it out. You just kept figuring out every little step.
Yeah.
So you're reevaluating yourself as you go. Because my next question is basically, how do you get to be the person to solve the problem? Right. Every day, like you said, getting out of bed, like, oh, yesterday was awful.
Right.
But today's a new day. Right. So how is it that and what could you share to someone who is listening and laying in bed and was like, oh my gosh, I just, this thing was awful. How can I keep going? What would you tell her?
I think looking back, if we all looked back and wrote out, even now, I haven't talked to many people about my past, because they're like, oh, you're born and raised in Midland. I'm not going to go, oh, I lived in DC and I lived in Chicago and I used to go to the White House. I enjoyed that, whatever, but you'd have to dig and talk to me to find that out. I think if everyone though wrote down their past, it's a colorful quilt, and everybody we meet and every experience we go to will lead you if it's the right, that's why I say listen to your gut. If you're trying to force the door, the few times I've done it, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? These people are giving me stress. Like, just listen to your gut and go and be where you're supposed to. Maybe you don't want to go to an event that night, and then you walk away, you met someone. And then like 2 days later, oh, we heard you plan events. Do you plan doctor events? Do you want to come? Like everything I look back, God has never failed me. He's not going to fail me. And everywhere I was supposed to be was where I was meant to be. And anything that I push and pressure that was on my own didn't work. So just being like, look back at every little person you meet and every little experience and how it wove and got you to where you are, because that was meant to be.
Has your faith played a big role in your decision making?
Yes, it has, but I was born and raised in the church, and then kind of did my own thing. I was living a high life and thinking I got it all figured out. And just recently I've been like, I gotta pray every day. There's so many things going on especially with kids. I'm like, every day's a battle with teens. So just praying protection over them. And then finally I was just like, I can share my faith. I have a friend who's an atheist, and we're just talking. And every time I say, oh, I'm praying for you, or God has a plan, she wrote me, she goes, Erica, you don't offend me. We're not alike that way. But I used to not say anything because I was like, I don't want to offend anyone as somebody who's Jewish, and if you want to bring something up, I was like, yeah, that doesn't offend me that you just talked about Hanukkah. So I was kind of more dimming my light, because I was just like, oh, if I say this, they're going to, she's, she doesn't think my way. And my friend's like, I love you and we're friends. So whatever you say, I hope, because I would say something and I'd look at her, I'm like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if I do offend you, come tell me.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, because, we started the conversation by saying, you're going into rooms to meet strangers, right? And you may have different perspectives or conversations. And, maybe your example was, hey, that was a tough drive in, maybe the other person was like, actually, it was quite easy. And I live, next door. Right. So having open conversations intentionally, knowing that, your eyes are open. Right. I'm aware of what's going on, and, being unapologetic in some ways too. So I have a couple questions before we end in our last 2 minutes. My first question is, live local events. Where can we find more events, right? Because we're all about the Great Lakes Bay region and beyond here. So where can you direct us to learn more about that?
Yep. The group page for everyone, you just have to be a member, is Live Local Mid-Michigan. And anyone who joins, we had a lot of members just join the new year. I love showcasing a person once a month. And when people want to join, I do monitor it, because there's other groups where you can, if you do siding or roofing, you can go on Ask Midland, you can go share it there.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep mine like you're local, you're promoting local thing or a local event.
And then my second question is, what is a piece of advice that you would pass along to the woman of the Great Lakes Bay region? You have so much experience. What would you share as a piece of advice for just a lady around town? Yep.
Around town or wherever.
Yeah.
Everybody, no matter what your age, you need a mentor. You need someone to get with. You don't have to specifically ask someone, but make sure you have a mentor or a few, and make sure mentoring someone. You should be pulling up with you and holding on to someone who's pulling you up, because that's the only way us women are going to be presidents of companies. We got to look around, and the men drag their sons up after college. And you're like, how'd he get that job? We need to
do the same.
We can do it. Square up, look people in the face. We're doing it too. But
wow.
Have someone you're bringing with you, and have someone you're going with.
I love that piece of advice. And again, that's a role of a community connector, just like you. So thank you so much for being on. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Erica Piña, and that's what she said.
That's What She Said is presented by CMU Health, encouraging safe sleep practices for moms and infants in partnership with Be Well Saginaw. Learn more at bewellsaginaw.org/safe sleep campaign.